Hey guys, happy Monday. So obviously, as you guys can see, the title of this video is just a little bit funny. But the reason why I chose it to be the title that it is, why does it suck to be single, is because I feel like at some point or another, whether we were teenagers or whether we were adults, we've all felt this way at some point. And here's the thing. Sometimes you feel like you ask yourself, does being single always have to suck? Okay. So I decided that I'm going to start off this video by first painting a scenario. This is actually going to be about a girl, someone I know. So picture this. Girl gets up, goes to work, wakes up super last minute because last night she stayed up scrolling through her phone. It could be that she was on social media. It could be that she was on some weird YouTube video, the algorithm, how it takes you to funny places. But long story short, she wakes up really late and last minute. She's rushing to get ready. And by the time she gets out of the house, she's even showing up to work a few minutes late. Doesn't have enough time to make breakfast, so instead goes out to buy McDonald's. Just real easy. Just buy it. Goes to work, works all day, and then by the time she gets home, she's so tired. All she wants to do is just lay down and relax. Doesn't want to be bothered. And then after that, scrolls through social media, turns on the favorite show afterward. The hours just tick and fly by. And then before you know it, it's already the nighttime. But you don't want to go to bed yet because that means the next day you have to wake up and then you have to go to work again. All over again, you start the cycle. You stay up late, you wake up late, and over again. So this girl dreams of learning piano. This girl dreams of becoming better at drawing. This girl dreams of a lot of hobbies she wishes she could do, but she's just too dang tired and it's just expensive and too time consuming. And along the way, the whole cycle of just going to work and back kind of gets dull. So she just decides that maybe it's better if she messaged back that one person who had asked her out not that long ago. She needs a little bit more excitement in her life. Therefore, that's why she gets into talking to a relationship. So this person is me. This is what my life used to look like. I call myself the McDonald's girl. I know that sounds really funny, but that's actually what I called myself because back then I lacked so much motivation. And this is the crazy part is that at some point you just feel like, what is the point to life? Or man, being single sucks. And genuinely, guys, I believe that this is the reason why a lot of people enter relationships is because they don't know how to just be on their own. And this is totally understandable. Learning to be on your own when you're surrounded by social media where everyone's constantly posting cute photos of relationships or posting pictures of themselves moving on with their lives when it feels like yours is just kind of dull, right? So that's the point of this video is for me to tell you guys that being single doesn't always have to suck. And in fact, I would say it's like one of the prime times of your life. And I feel like people don't see it that way anymore because of the pressures of society, just to demonstrate that you got your life together. So I decided to make this video, how to develop hobbies. And I know there's a million videos out there, but I'm going to make this one specifically catered towards young adults who are struggling really with the single life or maybe feeling discontent with life. Whether you are here because you just recently got into a breakup or whether you're here because you're just trying to find out if being single can just not suck just for once, well, this video is for you. And if not, you can still enjoy this. Hopefully you can learn something new from it. So first things first that I'm going to go over, you can feel free to skip over this part of the video, but I did feel like giving a little bit of context as to my journey developing hobbies and why I decided not to stay single and take advantage of the opportunities that I had disposable to me. So first things first, if you can find this relatable, I'm happy to see that this video can be beneficial to you. The biggest reason why I didn't develop my hobby sooner was, at least I told myself, there wasn't enough money. And I understand this. When you're a kid, you do not have money and you don't really have control over that. And in fact, sometimes you're even 16 of the age to work, but you can't find work that fits the schedule, or maybe your parents can't give you a ride. So I remember being in middle school and I really, really wanted to learn how to draw. I really wanted to learn how to just, storytelling. But I told myself, man, I would look on YouTube and I would see on their thing, like everyone has these like really cute and cool like markers. But my family didn't have the money for that. And not only that, but I was kind of going through a lot of family problems. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but sometimes when you're going through family problems, specifically certain kinds of family problems where you feel like it just kind of makes you feel a little bit down on yourself, and especially going to get a little bit more down to the core here, the nucleus of everything. If you come from a home where perhaps maybe you see that your family members don't speak kindly to each other, maybe perhaps you're slowly getting better at a hobby and then your family member sees that and says, you really think you're going to do good at it, or even worse, you're too stupid to do that. First of all, I want to say I'm really sorry that's the case, and that I promise you, a personal testimony, coming from a home where I felt like I was constantly surrounded by things like that it will get better. And don't give up on fighting for your hobbies and where you want to get in life just simply because other people are telling you that you can't, okay? So the first thing I told myself growing up was when I had too many family problems, and the second thing was money. Number two, another reason why I didn't develop hobbies, fast forwarding, is around middle school, high school time, the boys start to like people. And here's the thing. Relationships are a blessing. They truly are. But the reality of it is, guys, is that relationships take time and energy. Time and energy that you can't use focusing on yourself. And so this is one of the things and the reasons why I feel like people don't fully understand that you don't have to jump into a relationship to find satisfaction. That if you can seriously just focus on yourself for a moment in time, then you can slowly develop these beautiful hobbies, and like the world is yours. Like, have you ever seen those like YouTube videos? And it's crazy because it's like, why do we watch videos of people vlogging? Why do we watch videos of people like belting music? Because in a sense, we're like, dang, how did they get that good? So guys, like, we could literally get that good if we were to instill hobbies. And so I think this is crazy because we're literally spending our time, in a sense, wasting our time watching other people, making other people money by watching them when we could be doing it for ourselves. So in middle school, high school, I started getting into relationships, and suddenly it didn't become about drawing or art or any of that stuff. It became about, how do I look when I'm around this person? All sort of centered around how people perceived me, which I don't fully blame you for feeling that way. If you're in high school, you're not alone on that. In fact, what you're going through is literally psychological development. You're at a point in your life where you are slowly becoming aware of yourself and where you fit in the world. And that's okay for you to feel that way, as long as you know that 99% of your thoughts are randomly generated, over 99% of them, meaning that the only way they'll affect you is if you allow them to affect you. I kind of like look at it this way. Picture that like a cloud were to come down from the sky and literally is like right in front of you. You could, if you choose to linger and look at it, it'll stay there. But if you choose to just look at it and then let it go away, it's no longer in sight. Your thoughts work the same way. A bunch of images get generated in your brain. And if, say the image is saying maybe you don't look good, or you're ugly, or like you're not capable, or like maybe you won't be able to become as good of an athlete as you would like, or maybe you won't be as good of a musician. Guess what? That cloud's gonna hover there for a good while. Okay, so like you have complete control. You may not have control over what people say about you around you, but you totally have control about how you decide to take those words. So that's another thing, is that when you get into relationships, you start sort of, especially if you start really young. For me, young is like before your developmental age, which is like your mid-20s, right? You care way too much about what people think about you. Even if you say you don't, to some degree you do, okay? So yes, they take time away from hobbies because you're more focused on other things and not yourself. Number 3, this is what I wrote down. The emotional toll of relationships. Like, I feel like this isn't spoken of enough. So what do you need for hobbies? You need energy, and you need motivation, and you need confidence to know that you got it. What happens when you get into a relationship and you start having problems with your significant other? I'm not even joking. Have you guys ever like went through like this relationship? And it's okay if you don't relate, still listen, okay? So have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like you're doing your best and yet you're constantly emotionally exhausted, and you're like, and then the next day you wake up and you're so tired, or maybe you get into a fight with someone that you're in a relationship with, or disagreement, and you're just so exhausted that the next day, well, guess what? That's literally because there's a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol, when it is circulated through your body, It actually causes fatigue in your own body. And not only that, it reduces energy levels and motivation. When you get into relationships, especially at a young age, when you don't know how to regulate your stress levels yet, you're going to feel a lot less motivated to do your hobbies. So I feel like people don't think about that enough, okay? And don't get me wrong, relationships are beautiful, but all in its due timing, okay? So, number 4, hobbies and skills, they boost your confidence. So let me tell you something. If you want to build your confidence, get better at some kind of skill or hobby. Because again, I feel like if I had spent less time looking at relationships and worrying about how people perceived me, I would have been a million times more confident than I was then as a teenager. Like I look at some of these people, have you seen how like they're able to, like, for me, I like singing. And so I would look at people, I'd be like, dang, they can really belt. How can they do it? Because they focus so much of their time. Like look at, literally watch those people. They spend a significant amount of time developing those skills. And like if you do that, and you don't even have to get really good, but it's the small victories where you're like, dang, I'm slowly getting good. Your confidence boosts. And this is the crazy part, okay? When your confidence boosts, suddenly your standards rise when you realize, dang, I kind of got a skill asset. And as you slowly build yourself and your character, then you realize, dang, like I kind of want to be around someone who will help motivate me, or someone who's equally as, or if not more motivated than I am. But when you kind of lack those skills and like the confidence, the sad reality is when a lot of people have low confidence, they tend to go for people whom they think they deserve. So it's very sad, but I'm telling you guys, it's just the little victories. And I'll talk to you in a second about how you can develop those hobbies, though. Okay, so next thing. It's important to dedicate time to yourself, because when you become more confident, well, actually, this one's a repeat. Let me go to number 6. No, number 7. There you go. Get as close to the maturity age as you possibly can. Okay, now this one's big. This one's more than just hobbies, okay? Because, like, I'm telling you, guys, and I know this is something that people can't tell you. Some of you just have to learn on your own, but I, like, let me just mention this, okay? The Bible says that a wise person, when they make a mistake, they fall, but they get right back up, okay? An even wiser person hears the advice of someone and says, you know what? I don't want to do that. Which is crazy, because like the difference between me and, like, say one of my younger sisters, bless her, she's like so wise, because she was that person who saw what we went through. She saw my heartbreak and the heartbreak of her other sisters, our sisters, and she learned from it. And so what I'm telling you is this: if you get closer to the maturity age of like your early mid 20s, you will have significantly less heartbreaks. And the reality is that when you continuously go from relationship to relationship and you don't allow yourself time to heal, your confidence is never going to go up. You're going to constantly struggle with being able to keep a routine. You're going to constantly struggle with being able to develop hobbies. And you kind of feel like you're in this rut. And then you end up dating people whom you think you deserve, who just maybe aren't even motivated either. Because here's the thing: motivation cannot be built. No one can give you that motivation. That has to be built intrinsically, meaning it has to come internally. But if you continue to get into relationships where you get your heart broken, that is ultimately what lowers your confidence, and a lot of the times distract you away from hobbies that you could develop. So this is just a little bit of my experience that I went through, because it's crazy to think that it took me up until like around age 23 for me to finally realize, wow, the world is like, when you realize and embrace your singleness and developing yourself and developing all of these skills and hobbies, like your life becomes so full, so like the world is yours. Like, now then you no longer have to watch those videos of like, dang, these people sing so good, or like, dang, look at these vloggers and like what they're doing. All of a sudden you're the one doing it, which is crazy, because it's like, no, like you guys have to, like, I'm telling you, like quality of life becomes so much better. So if you can, and you say you've been single and you're a teenager and you're like, I don't know, maybe about to end high school, and you're like, oh, I still haven't gotten in a relationship. I thought it was really funny. One of my students, because I'm a high school teacher, one of my students actually mentioned, like, I went through all of high school and I've never held a boy's hand. So she was like all upset about it. But I'm literally like, girl, no, because then you can focus solely on yourself. So when the time comes, then you'll have the more mature mentality to do those things, to be able to have a good relationship. Because here's the thing, if you wait till later, and especially if you develop these hobbies and you allow yourself to be full, you will not be a burden that weighs someone down. In fact, you'll uplift them, and then your standards will change, and then you'll be someone who uplifts them. It's quite a beautiful thing. And I'm happy that I've learned this, but also I'm like learning and grateful that I did learn at 23, because unfortunately some people don't learn until they're in their 40s or 50s, and then it becomes like, like, dang, all that time, what could I have used it for? Also, another thing, by the way, I didn't actually write this one down, but I think I should mention it. If you spend on too much time on social media, all you're going to be doing is constantly comparing yourself to others, and that's also going to decrease your overall achievement and how you are able to develop your hobbies and your skills and everything that you want to do, really your dreams. So what I do is, if I notice that social media's algorithm has really kept me on there for a while, I take my phone and I literally just put it away somewhere and I don't touch it. Because here's the thing, if you don't stop yourself while you're in the middle of it, that's what social media is. It's an algorithm that was created to keep you there a really long time. And you don't want to do that. I know that, especially if you're young, this is what I tell the youth that I work with. You guys lack time dilation. Even I lack time dilation. I call it time dilation. So what is it? Time dilation, in my own words, is basically that you have no idea how much time you have left to live. You have so much left in your lifetime. There's no need for you to be, one, rushing into relationships. And not only that, in some ways you lack time dilation, even in the reverse end, where you don't realize how quickly time is going to fly. And if you're spending all of your time watching shows and being on social media, you're going to live with a lot of regrets. So at some point you need to set that boundary. Maybe if you're like on your phone for 3-4 hours after school or after work, maybe start off in small chunks. Like, maybe I'm only going to be on it for an hour or two. Believe it or not, you don't want to drop it cold turkey. Otherwise you're never going to follow through with it. But anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is what I'm going to say to you guys. When you want to develop hobbies, I'm transitioning here. How do you develop these hobbies? You're like, yeah, it's so easy for you to speak, Leslie, but like, how do I develop these hobbies? The only way you're going to develop these hobbies is if you develop a motivation intrinsically, meaning you actually have to sit down. And in fact, this is what I would encourage you to do. Sit down, and I want you to write 24 hours in a day, literally. In fact, pause this video right now. Well, maybe not right now, and do these things right here, okay? By the end, I want you to pause the video and actually try it for yourself. 24 hours in one day, write it down. How much time do you spend at work? Subtract it. How much time do you spend, or if it's school, subtract 24 hours from school. How many hours do you spend on average sleeping? How many hours on average subtract that you spend on social media? Be honest. No one's going to see your list. You got to be honest. Subtract from there how much time you spend on social media on your phone, and then subtract from there how much time you spent in the car going to work or when your parents pick you up. How much time you spend on average on family events or, say, church events, right? How much time do you spend on television? Be honest with yourself. And I want you to see how much time you have left. And then I want you to picture you doing that all the way to your adulthood, all the way through your mid-adulthood, all the way through till you become old. You don't want to become that person who has a lot of regrets because you spent your time doing things that you really regret doing. So you have to sit down and think, what's something that you've always wanted to do, but you kind of felt like, man, say for example, I've always really wanted to do photography, but like, I can't afford a camera. Or like, man, I've really wanted to do art, but there's no way I can do good. I've always been bad at drawing, right? So I want you to sit down and think about how, when you watch other people and what they do, picture yourself, and in fact, I would do this, picture yourself as if you were already in it. Picture what it would be like, your quality of life. And then think about how much you really want to get to that place. And I want you to write it down and think about it every single day, okay? And then I want you to write down what it feels like when you don't get to be in that place, or what it feels like to watch others have those successes and you don't. Because here's the thing, if you don't sit down and you think about intrinsically how this is going to make you feel on the positive end and on the negative end, and you don't remind yourself every single day, then your only motivation is going to come externally. And externally, Whether that be, say, your parents are forcing you, or whether that be that, like, oh, well, man, people will think it's so cool if I get to show it off. All of that fades. The only thing that stays is when you have an internal motivation to get these things done. You have to be realistic with yourself and what you're spending your time doing. I'm telling you this, and I'm speaking sternly because this is what I had to do to myself when I was that McDonald's girl, and I was like, dang, I'm getting chunky. Like, I want to like lose weight, and I want to be a gym girl, and I want to be that girl who reads books. And I've had a novel I've been wanting to work on for so long, and I haven't been able to finish. So I think to myself, like, how bad do I really want this, and how bad do I feel when I don't get it done? And so sit down and genuinely pause and reflect and think about these things. And if you're Christian, I want you to pray on these things. And what would it be like for your quality of life overall if you were to dedicate more time to do this? And that's the first thing. Now, second thing, say that you're like, okay, I've done that, still not enough. This part's cool. Now that you've written it down, meditation. And no, when I say meditation, I don't mean the yum, like, I'm not talking about that stuff, guys. Like, I mean, like, where you sit down and you've written out the reasons why you want to do these things. And every single day you breathe in, because there's many meditations, you can look them up online, or you just a simple one. Breathe in, hold it in, breathe it in 5-10 seconds, hold it 5-10 seconds, breathe out 5-10 seconds, and tell yourself what you want to do. Breathe in, hold it in, breathe out, and tell yourself that you're capable of doing it. Breathe in, hold it in, and then remind yourself that you are more than just scrolling through your phone. And you do this again and again and again, and then all of a sudden, and at least, even if you do it for 5 minutes every day, that you'll find slowly, for one, when you breathe in, let me walk you through the science to this, since I'm a science teacher, okay? Oxygen is ultimately what leads to energy. Mitochondria takes in oxygen so that it can create ATP, energy. When you breathe in and you regulate your breathing, you increase oxygen flow to the brain, meaning that you're able to think clearer, and your brain is able to pick up on messages that you normally wouldn't pick up on, because we're constantly in the rush of the day, whether it be homework, whether it be work, any of those things. Meditate every single day and tell yourself you're capable of doing it. If someone tells you that you're not capable of doing it, or maybe say that you're practicing your singing and your voice cracks and someone laughs at you, or maybe perhaps you're like wanting to start whatever it is that your hobby is. Maybe you're bad at sports, but you want to be really good at it. Bruh, let your haters watch you. Let your haters just see you rise to your success. Do not let any, and in fact, if what they say really, like, say they say something and you find yourself thinking about this regularly, through this meditation where you breathe in what they've said to you and say that that is not what you are. This is called corrective meditation, corrective behaviors, where you're correcting a negative thought that your brain keeps repeating to itself over and over and over again. Number 3, okay, so again, number 1, sit down and you write down how much you really want this and how it feels like to not get it done. Number 2, meditation, right? Constantly reminding yourself every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes. In fact, I would even push 2 minutes, right? Number 3, okay, I want you to write down what things you have to get done and make those goals attainable. Now, you're going to hate me for this, because I'm telling you, I was a free-spirited McDonald's girl. I was the kind of person who, like, I would be like, yeah, I don't have to write things down. I got it right here. Like, I don't have to think about it, right? Which is, like, really funny. How many of you guys are like, I got it done right here. I don't got to write it down, right? So, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh, I forgot to do this. Or, dang it, today I was supposed to practice piano. Or, like, dang it, I was supposed to practice, say, shooting, if you're practicing basketball, right? Well, guys, that's where planners come in. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, I don't want to use planners. Or like, man, I bought them and then they don't work, right? Literally, guys, like, I'm telling you, and I'm going to show you how I built success to making sure that I use my planners regularly, okay? So when you do a planner and you're like, oh, I don't got the money for that. And there's free ones online. The dollar store has them. I got you, man. I got you, okay? But if you can afford, and this one's like a cute little one. This one's my personal one. I also got a teacher one, okay? This is my 2025, 2026 planner, right? You open it. First thing to do, your goals, important dates, to-do list. I don't know if you can read this or not. Okay. And then you open it up and now you got a calendar. You can see your overall calendar here. What you need to get done. See if you can. I don't know if it'll focus or not. Oh, there it is. Focus. Okay. And then when you turn it past the calendar, that way you can see a summary of it. This is your day to day. Okay. See, focus. So on the 1st, on the 2nd, on the 3rd, what exact things you need to get done that day? I'm going to tell you, I judge people who were like, isn't it feel so good to check off your to-do list? And I was like, no, it doesn't. It just makes me dread. Like, I used to be one of those people, but now I'm like, check, check, check. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting it done. So I'm telling you, like, I was like an Energizer bunny. I hated being restricted to a sort of planner, okay? But I'm telling you, it works. That way you don't forget. Some people like to set reminders on their phone. If this doesn't work, but reminders work, you gotta do it. And say you're like lacking motivation. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym. I've been wanting to lose weight for some time, right? Go back. That's what I told you to write down. Go back. I want you to reread how you would feel like if you were looking like you wanted to look. Say if it was the gym. And what you feel like now staring at yourself in the mirror, not looking like you want to look, right? You have to remind yourself every single day. So that way it can become an intrinsic motivation, okay? Now here's the thing. Some of you are like, man, I'm gonna go to the gym. I want to lose weight. And then all of a sudden you're going and you're like hitting it hard for an hour or two when you never go to the gym. Look, guys, I get that you're motivated, but like, this is one thing I've learned as a person who has many, many hobbies. You can't go hard at all at once, because if you do that, that's usually how people drop off in their goals, right? This is also why New Year's resolutions never work, because they basically start off way too strongly than they need to, okay? So make sure your goals are attainable, okay? Meaning, yes, you're going to laugh at me. Say that you want to get better at working out 15 minutes max. In fact, if you feel like you can go longer, great. But no matter what, minimum 15 minutes. Go take a walk. Better than laying around, okay? So you want to get better at piano, 15 minutes, okay? Next thing. This one's important. Now, I know some of you are going to just shut off this video and be like, I hate this girl, okay? This goes for guys and girls, okay? You need to develop a good sleep habit. And I'm sorry, it's the truth. I'm a night owl, okay? Like, I used to be that girl who would, like, binge an anime straight to the night or a Netflix show and be tired the next day and be okay with that, okay? Which is, like, insane. So I'm like, I'm a night owl. You cannot restrict me to waking up early. I was groggy in the morning. I'm like, I am not a morning person. And when people would be like, just wake up early, you'll get your hobbies in. And I would be like, bro, like, I literally can't even think in the morning, okay? But the reason why that happened is because I didn't have a consistent sleep schedule. So this is what I highly recommend to you guys. My chem teacher, shout out to Dr. Clark, seriously, who used to always say this. He was my chem teacher. He used to always say, the sleep you get before midnight is worth double than the amount of sleep you get after. Now, I don't know how true those numbers actually are, but it's like, I mean, it's fair enough to say that your overall quality of sleep is good. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but like the different stages of sleep, when you're first laying down, getting comfortable, your mind slowly starts to fade into sleep. Okay, that's like light sleep. You get into your deep sleep and eventually you reach your REM cycle, rapid eye movement. I don't know if you guys know this, but you get into a deep sleep where like your eyes rapidly move. Like they actually move. There's a point in your sleep when your eyes move. And I think it's like your dreamlike state. But you need a certain amount of REM cycle. And if you don't get a good quality of sleep and you're sleeping really late and having an inconsistent sleep schedule, well, guess what? Your REM actually gets disturbed that way. Your REM cycle. I recommend, don't hate me, this is just what the science shows, okay? Go to bed early, wake up early. Wake up, and I'm going to talk to you guys about my schedule. Go to bed, say latest 9, 10, and then wake up around, if you're not used to waking up early, maybe try like 6, 7-ish, maybe 7-ish, 6-ish. Depending. If you have school, you probably want to wake up earlier than 7. If you have work, probably want to wake up earlier than 7. Okay, depending on your work schedule. But you need a consistent sleep schedule. Why? Because a lot of people lack motivation because naps. They constantly take naps after school, constantly take naps after work. Naps can easily, have you guys ever had those naps where like you go to sleep and then you wake up confused and like breathing hard and sweaty? One of your socks is missing because your 30-minute nap turned into a 4 or 5 hour nap. Guys, if you had consistent sleep, that would make it a lot easier to have time for your hobbies. Okay. So your sleep schedule is absolutely important. And I feel like I did not actually appreciate that enough. Now that all that's said, you guys see, if you can literally practice these things in small chunks, again, starting off with just writing down why you want to do what you do, right? If you follow through with all of these steps, guys, I'm not even joking. Like, you will see progress. Progress comes in little steps. Most of us didn't start off running. Most of us started crawling, and some of us started walking in small steps, right? That's how it works when it comes to building a routine and improving your overall quality of life, okay? Do not compare yourself to other people who say like they practice their vocals for like 2 hours versus you, like you struggle to even do it for 1 hour, right? Do not compare yourself. We're all in a different walk, right? There's always going to be someone better than you at something. Now I'm going to walk you through my routine. I told you my McDonald's routine, waking up super last minute, right? Now I'm going to tell you what I do now. I'm not joking. The McDonald's girl has blossomed, okay? So I do my best. I'm not saying that it's every time. I try to go to bed around 9. Usually I fall asleep between 9ish to 10, right? 11 if it's loud in the house, right? So I go to bed by around 9. I wake up around 4:30, 4:45. Okay. I wake up right away. I go into prayer. I pray. Immediately after, I meditate. And every single day it's something different. One day, say I wake up and I say, you know what? I want to have confidence today. I do a 10-minute meditation on confidence. There's guided meditations online, or you could do one on your own. That's usually if you're more experienced, though. Highly suggest daily meditation. So yeah, I say the next day I wake up and then I'm like, you know what? I prayed 4:45, right? Now I want to do a meditation on, say, anxiety. Today I'm feeling kind of anxious, right? Prayer, meditation. Right after that, me and my sister go to the gym. We hit the gym around 5ish, ideally 5:20, 5:30ish. I go there for a while. I leave. I come back home. I shower. I take my time doing breakfast. And as I eat my breakfast, I do my devotionals. And after my devotionals, I go to work. Looking back, I'm really sad to think about the fact that I spent so much time rushing and I was constantly stressed out in the morning. But I spend my entire morning and I've gotten so much done that guess what? By the time I come home, I can actually focus on my hobbies. And it's not every time that it's like this. Sometimes I wake up and instead of do a meditation or something, I may do like journaling, or I may do like working a short prompt of my novel, because I have a novel I've been working on. Okay. But when I work, I come home. When I come home, I give myself a little bit of grace period, say like around 15, 20 minutes to just really around 20 to 30 minutes to just sit down and relax. That's usually when I allow myself to kind of catch up on social media. After that, I immediately tell myself, okay, it's time, 15 minutes. Recently, I've been practicing piano. So 15 minutes, go on the piano. Right after that, give myself a little break because you can't push your brain too hard. 30 minutes reading. After the 30 minutes reading, I work on my novel, or I work on, say, the videos that I'm now doing with my podcast. It varies every time, and it doesn't have to be the same every single time. And let me tell you guys, I have examples here, okay? You guys see this book? This one is from Julian Assange. This is an example. If you don't know who he is, amazing book. Oh my gosh, this man. One day I'm going to go on a whole tangent on Julian Assange. You see how big this book is? I used to have I really wanted to be a writer. I really wanted to write a novel that I've been working on. Well, in my own mind, there's a novel I really wanted to work on. But I never really sat down and did it. And then when I actually started writing, I realized that my writing was crap. My writing was just crap. And I was like, dang, why is my writing crap? So I took a writing class in college and I made the time for it. And then when I took the writing class, I realized something. You can't be a writer unless you read. And same thing, if you can't be a musician without listening to music, guys. That's just how it works, okay? So you can't be a musician without listening to music. You can't be a writer without reading. And I remember thinking, do I have to read? And then I read a book on how to write, and it was by Stephen King. And he literally made fun of people. He's like, you really think you can be a writer without reading? But then I remember thinking to myself, oh, to be a writer, I really have to read? And then, because here's the thing, guys, like I saw people like like my school, Alpha Elementary School, had like million word reader. And I was like, dang, dude, like who the heck is a million word reader at like a fourth grade level? Some people were. And I wanted to be like them, but I'm like, man, I'm not that smart. That's what I used to tell myself. So then when I started reading, I was like, dang, there's no way I can become one of those readers. And I used to see people read those big, chunky books. And I said, you know what? And I did that. I sat down and I really contemplated it. How bad do I really want to write my novel, The Age of the Nova Assassin? How bad do I want to write these things, right? And then that's when I sat down. I was like, I really want to do this. So I picked up a book and I said, and I remember I struggled to even read for 20 minutes. And I was like, okay, I'll do 15. Okay, next time, 10 minutes. Okay, today I'm kind of busy, 5 minutes, but I have to do it every single day. Maybe take the weekend break. And then slowly over time, I found more books, and then I kept doing that. And when I read my first book, like in a long time, I was so proud of myself to finish it. To like actually finish one of your goals is like one of the most amazing feelings ever. And like, look at the size of this book, okay? I went from reading a book that was similar to this size, right, to reading another book, and then another one, and then a 4-book series. And I'm like, can I actually finish the 4-book series? I was consistent. 15 minutes. By the way, you know how like when you first work out and you're like super tired and breathing super hard? That's because your body's not used to it. Okay, your body's not used to like doing that much exercise. But if you work out one day, then the next day after that, all of a sudden your mile time improves, like your overall like weightlifting improves, right? Your stamina. It's the same way with reading and any other hobby. You can do it for longer periods of time because you're consistent with it. It's like building a muscle, right? I'm proud to say that last year I read 45 books. 45 books. If you would have told me years ago, like even like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that I was going to do that, I would have literally laughed at you. I was not a reader. Look at this. This book. Okay, this book, The Julian Assange, is probably about 160-ish pages. This is a book I read last year. Let me show you. This book, I'm like laughing. If you can, okay, you guys literally have to see this. Look, so it's like, it's nearly 900 pages. Okay, so like, I read a 900-page book. Like, that is literally insane. Like, I'm not even saying it to be boastful. I'm saying it like, you can do this too. To like, do stuff and then like whatever it is that you want to do. And so like some of you might say, yeah, but I don't have a camera for photography. You have a phone. Look up YouTube videos on what you do have. Oh, I want to draw, but I don't have the paper. Grab a plain piece of paper from school, pencil, get started on sketches that you find online. There's a way to learn things, right? So like say you're like, I want a camera or I want to work with software, but I can't afford the software. Look up videos on why can certain kinds of saturation be better under certain lighting. Like there's things you can do for now until one day you will have the finances to do it. And back then, I was like, man, I really want to read when I was a kid, and I did read a little bit, but I just sort of dropped off. And now that I'm older, I have my own job, and like now I'm like crazy to think how many books I've read. That's not even including the books I read the year after and the one now. And I'm so proud to say that I got there. And I believe you can too if you're able to just ground yourself in small chunks. It's just the consistency that matters, okay? Now, next thing. Your hobbies will be as priority as you make it. Meaning that if you choose to prioritize other things, your hobbies are not going to get as much time. Meaning you need to learn how to say no to people. Say that you're normally like, you're always there for that one friend who's always calling you like, oh my gosh, and like everything is a big drama. Or like maybe like the dude who always like, if you're a guy, that one guy friend who constantly has trouble with these girls, right? Like talking about it. Or like just like ridiculous stuff, right? Like maybe someone who just constantly gets into trouble and needs you to bail them out, right? These things take up time. Now, say you're in the middle of your hobby and you're trying to develop and someone calls you, mute. Because your hobbies are as priority as you make them, right? Now, again, summary, meditate every single day to remind you exactly why you're capable of doing what you're doing. Your brain will believe it. Repetition to your brain begins to believe it, and it manifests as truth. Number 3, this one's big. Surround yourself by people who are motivated. If you're constantly around people who all they do is lay around all day and all they do is watch TV, all they do is comment on TikTok videos, that's all you're going to ever do. But if you surround, so you're like, man, but I kind of have a toxic environment. Like, I don't really have good friends like that, right? Surround yourself by influences that you do have control over. Like, say you find a streamer online who's like a good example and they're showing you what they do to get motivated, or maybe they're vlogging their experience as they gain and become better at what they're doing, right? These things help to motivate you. Spend more time doing those things. And if you're a Christian, specifically read the Bible. And the Bible says, in everything that you do, do it as if you were doing it for the Lord and not for man. Because when you do that, you excel in everything that you set your mind to. Like there's a saying in Spanish, como dice el dicho, dime quién son tus amigos y te diré quién eres tú. Tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. Because if you surround yourself by people who just have no motivation in life and their life is headed towards the pathway of having lots of regrets, that's most likely where you're going to end up. Number 4, if you come from a broken home that puts you down, grab a journal or even pray out loud. Say they insult you and say, you're too stupid to be able to do something like engineering, or like learn slowly how to build things. You sit down and you say, I'm not stupid. I'm smart and I'm good enough. Okay. And I know some people may watch this video because it's funny because like I talk to my students about this stuff and some of my dudes are like, they're like laughing and I'm just like, yo, like it may sound funny, but like the only way you're going to be able to get more confident is by manifesting it and telling yourself, right? Kind of reminds me of those parents who are constantly see their kids and they're like, no, you're literally like a king, or like, you're literally like, you're going to do amazing things in life. Or like those parents are like, you're going to be a doctor when you grow up, right? Like it doesn't matter what it is because your parents, they constantly speak positively to you. Unfortunately, not all of us have that in our lives. So you're going to have to be the one to do it if you don't have it in your life. And I'm going to be hard on you on that one because I also had that. And I believe you're capable of doing that so long as you constantly replace these bad thoughts with good ones. 5. And I'm almost done. Literally, I have 2 more points after this. Your only limitation is your mind. So if you constantly tell yourself and believe these negative things, and let me make it a little spiritual here. All of those negative thoughts are not of you. Those negative thoughts come strictly from the devil, strictly from negative forces, because we fight not against flesh and blood, but we fight against the principalities. If these negative thoughts can manifest in your brain so much so to make you feel like you're in a constant rut, that you're not capable of doing things and you're too stupid to achieve your goals, then guess what? You will be the least version of yourself, and that's the last thing the devil wants. The devil doesn't want a confident person who's able to accomplish the things that they want to do in life. He wants someone who's constantly feeling down on themselves and is constantly in a victim mentality, and you can do better than that. And pray in the name of Jesus Christ that you may be liberated from those things. Because we are capable of more than we can even imagine possible. 6. If say that you're like, okay, I got hobbies, this video isn't for me, right? This can also be applied to family members. Sometimes we come from broken homes or say like, man, I kind of don't get along with my mom. Me and her used to fight all the time. And like, I want to be closer to her but I just don't know how. Or like, say you're a parent and you haven't spent a lot of time with your kids and now you feel like they don't like you and you're like, dang, man, they don't really want to be around me. Small chunks. Meditate every day. Pray. Wake up early. Do what needs to get done early. That way you can spend time the rest of the day with your family. All of these things that I'm talking about apply to many realms in your life, many aspects. Now, the world is yours. When you delight yourself, it flies by so beautifully. You're living a great quality of life that before you know it, and you're constantly getting into hobbies, you're meeting more people who have similar hobbies, you're meeting more people as you become more active, you eventually end up, say, God brings this into your life, you meet someone whom is just so amazing and you look up to them for all the things that they do, maybe even the leadership that they have and just how motivated they are. It makes you want to be a better person. And now you no longer weigh them down. Now you're older, you think more maturely, and you come with assets. You come with something to the table. And this isn't to say that if you don't have something to present that you're worthless. This is to say that you'll feel more confidence, more happiness being able to do it this way, right? Start a relationship. And you would have had the routine and the habits in place that even after you get married and have children, you will not stop doing your hobbies. Okay? Being single doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to be boring, guys. It's about what you make it. Because if, say, you just stick with like, well, I'm not capable of doing those things and it's boring, and you just enter from relationship to relationship, that it will be your ultimate detriment that'll keep you from developing and becoming the best person, best version that you are possible. And I'm going to end with this. It's a Bible verse, okay? And this is found in Ecclesiastes 3. Okay, here it is. Ecclesiastes 3. Ooh, got a little fly. And have this picked out. I'm going to have to cut this out of the video. Now I'm going to end with this, guys. Ecclesiastes 3. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to search, and a time to give up. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to mend. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toll? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its own time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from the beginning to the end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live. Don't feel the pressure of meeting a time frame that society has set for you. Be happy and embrace where you are today, for today is the only thing you are guaranteed and given in this life. Embrace, if you're single, embrace your singleness. Make your life literally so flourishing and abundant, and better yourselves. Grow closer to God. Grow closer to your family. Because when the time comes, and all in God's beautiful timing under heaven, you will have a blessing, and that will be your family, and that will be your children if that's what you desire. And then on top of that, even building an extra layer on that, because you took the time on how to develop the skills on how to build hobbies and a good quality of life, you'll be able to transfer that to your children. That's it, guys. I'm going to be praying for you guys. Blessings. If you stuck through to the end of this video, woohoo! I hope that it goes well for you.